NicoB! Back with some more of my Capcom gameplay coverage. And this time we're gonna be checking out the little game that could, Pragmata. So, I did actually get a chance to play this, as I mentioned in my previous video about Pragmata, back at Summer Games Fest. Unfortunately, back then, we didn't actually get any footage that we could use, nor could we record any. So everything that I said at the time was basically not really showable, aside from just the trailers they had sent out at the time, which unfortunately didn't actually do a great job of showing how the gameplay loop functioned in the game. But this time around, we finally got a chance to actually record it. And thankfully, this version that we played ran much more smoothly. I can sort of understand why the last one wasn't something we could record, because it ran like 20 to 25 most of the times, and this one ran a silky smooth 60 FPS. And in comparison to what I played last time, this portion of the game is pretty much the same gameplay that I played previously. However, I could actually fight the boss at the end. Last time they actually had to stop us when we got to the boss at the very end of the gameplay session. And I'm guessing maybe it just wasn't totally finished yet, or just hadn't been like polished or whatever. But this time I can actually fight it. So I can show you guys a bit of that fight as well. But a little just quick once over of what this game even really is. You're a space guy named Hugh, and you meet this weird little barefoot girl who's an android, and he calls her Diana. And she hacks stuff and you blast stuff. And that's about it. That's really all we know. She rides on your back like a little spider monkey and hacks enemies with her power, which basically makes enemies vulnerable. And you do that with a little mini game that shows up on the top right of the screen when you aim at them. And your point is to try to guide your icon along a grid using your face buttons and try to get them through as many of the little blue arrow things as possible and then going into the little green goal. And what it does is the more of those little things you get, the more damage it does to the enemy, and I think also keeps them vulnerable for longer. Last time I described this as something very akin to what The World Ends With You was, especially the original one, where you basically have two different gameplay things happening at the same time. In that game, it was what was going on the top screen versus what was going on the bottom screen. And this one is the third-person action shooter you got going on with Hugh and the little puzzle game you got going on with Diana. And the thing is, the game doesn't slow down when that's happening. When you're doing the puzzle thing, the game is still happening in real time, so that means dudes will be attacking you. So it's very much a case of trying to like pat your head and rub your tummy here as you navigate the puzzle while trying to blast enemies at the same time and avoid their attacks. It's a very fun gameplay loop that has a lot of potential. Like the moment I saw this at Summer Games Fest, it clicked with me like immediately. And I was like, oh shit, this is such a good idea. And it feels good too. That's the other thing. I've heard people say that the gameplay looks kind of odd when you're like watching on screen. And I think it is something you just have to sort of feel for yourself, but it feels very good. Believe me when I say that. Controlling Hugh feels natural. The third person action feels like right out of something like Resident Evil. And so controlling the grid with the face buttons is surprisingly intuitive. And as you play along in this demo, you actually come across a different variety of weapons for Hugh, like the shockwave gun, which basically acts as a shotgun. So it does some serious damage. However, I've noticed that weapon also has a very long cooldown before you can like use it again. It's like 3 seconds or something before it like is fully reloaded and you can fire again. So you can't just go blasting people all the time. But the nice thing is that you can actually like put away that weapon and switch to a different one to use that for like a period of time, because your basic gun can like it has ammo, but it slowly recharges over time once it's been depleted. And then the other guns you find around have just limited ammo and don't recharge. But even if it's on cooldown, you can switch back to your like pistol to at least get a few shots in, and then switch back to your shockwave gun when it has finished charging. There's also the stasis net, which is more of a support weapon used to help contain enemies, and ended up being very useful for this area's boss. I will say it actually seems like almost too good, because it really stops the enemy from even like being able to like move towards you. So I'll be curious if there'll be some enemies that end up just breaking through it really quickly, because it seems very effective at containing enemies and stopping them from even like from bothering Hugh at all, which leaves you to just focus on the little hacking game. In terms of movement, Hugh has a dodge, which he used to get away from enemies when they try to attack him. And thankfully, Diana will actually like yell out to you when an enemy is about to swing at you, which is good for like snapping you out of like being in puzzle mode, because you're constantly having to switch between like the two sides of your brain here. He also has the ability to hover, and you can use this to get around obstacles and just kind of float around and move to like different platforms, because there's actually a decent amount of platforming in this. And between all the fights, you're like running around, collecting things, hacking doors in a little mini game that can be slightly unintuitive at first. I think everybody who's done this like weird little door mini game fucked it up the first time. Watch Diana go, but that's okay. Fortunately, the child cannot die. At least I don't think she can. But you'd also get consumable upgrades to Diana's hacking system thing. Well, these little hacking nodes that essentially help you like debuff the enemy. You get one in this game that it gives you like only a limit of 3, but if you pass through it, it will temporarily lower the defense of the enemy so you can do extra damage. And this is the shit that I think has a ton of potential here. If they continue to build up on this system and allow you to like get other upgrades and other things that you can then use to buff yourself or debuff the enemy while also trying to avoid things within the grid, I think this could become such a cool gameplay loop. And I will say, I think out of all the games that I played here, I think that despite me really enjoying Onimusha and loving just the aesthetic and how it felt to parry things and everything, and how creepy and wild Resident Evil 9 could be, I think that this game, Pragmata, is actually the one that I felt the most engaged by. And I think that's the thing that really drives this game home of why it's so enjoyable, is that it just engages the ever-living fuck out of you. You're constantly having to think about things at any time when fighting enemies or exploring. And the exploration in this game really is actually quite good. There's fun little platform puzzles, secret rooms that you can find by just like floating around the environment and hopping into little alcoves. The game even has things like illusory walls that you can find, which funny enough was in the previous version of the game, and I only came across it after I had been told by people that it existed. And I was like, it took me a while to find it, but I swear to God, in this version, I think they made it like easier to find. They made it a little more noticeable because it like, I feel like it glows for a lot longer. But yeah, there's actually like little secret rooms. Now, granted, the stuff I was getting was pretty basic. You're getting like some kind of little glowing currency that I can't really do anything with yet. And there was only a very limited selection of guns and power-ups, but again, the potential's there and it feels good. And the thing is about this game, I feel like this game is like a really good kind of speedrun game. You really just want to go fast through it, especially after you've like done it once. I remember back when I played the Summer Games Fest, the Capcom guys were all like trying to play through it and see who could get through it as quickly as possible. And the same exact thing happened to people who played through it multiple times at the Capcom offices here last week for this build. And I felt the same thing. It's just like, you just want to fucking cook it through this game because you're constantly learning, you're constantly understanding. The gameplay demonstration ends with this really cool boss fight against this giant robot thing that you might remember from the trailers. And the first time I fought him, I actually kind of got my ass beat. He also seemed like really tanky, like I wasn't really doing that much damage, but I eventually started to learn that, oh, on his backside, he's got this big pod thing that when you break him down, if you shoot it, it does extra damage. So he does actually get like extra weak points. And funny enough, bosses seem to also get like a little stun gauge that actually allow you to perform like a quick time action. When you hop on the thing's head and you blast them for a big old chunk of damage. And funny enough, you also actually get an actual devil trigger in this game, or at least something along those same lines. It happens right at the end in the middle of the boss fight, but once you build up your little gauge, Diana releases like this powerful attack that essentially stuns and opens up the enemies to damage within range. But yeah, running around this big ass arena and fighting this dude was very enjoyable. And one of the things I also noticed, like the cool little nuances to how the hacking works. So if you get hit at all at any point when you're trying to hack, it resets the hack, like where your cursor is and the whole little puzzle that you were doing. But if you don't get hit, like let's say you're like moving the cursor and then, oh shit, I gotta move away because he's coming at me or something, but you come back to it after moving, it's still there. Like your cursor is the exact same place it was before. But the funny thing is, this can actually sometimes be a little bit of a bad thing because you can actually sort of like put yourself in a corner, which then causes you have to back up to try to get yourself to a better spot. You're like, oh shit, I locked myself in the corner. Oh god, and then you're like, have to undo what you did before. So it's very fun and kind of rewarding that way, you know? Maybe so I could also see some people just literally going in and taking a hit just so it resets their hacking grid. I don't think it was something I was able to capture in this footage, but it just goes to show you that there is like a good amount of like nuance and things to sort of uncover and learn in this system. And I think the thing that just has me most excited is just how will the game expand as it moves on, because the foundation here is so good. Like, I feel like the potential really is there. Now, in regards to the story, how will that go? I'm not exactly sure, but I would probably guess the little girl is probably going to go very attached to Hugh, and Hugh will get attached to her, and he'll probably like a father figure where he teaches the little girl how to high five, you know, like a Cloud and Aerith moment. And she looks at her hand like, ooh, she's like, I'm learning to love. So you see where it's kind of going here. It's cute. I still find the little girl to be a little uncanny though. I kind of wish they sort of like didn't doll her up so much and made her just look more like a regular kid as opposed to like a kid with like a fuck ton of makeup and stuff on. But it is sweet hearing them sort of like talk with each other and hearing you like try not to say like bad words around her. When you're exploring, you can also find things like logs and also little holograms that I swear to God, I don't know if I had this hologram thing, and I don't know if I missed it in the last build of this game, but I did not come across it then, where you see like holograms of people talking to each other to help with the, you know, the world building and stuff. Also another small side, but I really enjoyed the sort of like techno beats they had playing when you're fighting dudes. It really kind of gets you locked in and focused when like shit is blasting around you and the beat's just going in real hard. But yeah, overall, I really like this game. And coming back to it and being able to actually play the rest of the boss fight and also just having it run so much better helped to solidify that opinion even more. So at this point, I just kind of want to play it. Like, I want to see where this game goes. I hope that we don't have to wait too long into 2026 for us to actually play the full version, but I have a feeling with just how like well this game was running now compared to before and how put together their systems are, I feel like we're probably not going to wait too long into 2026 before we get a chance to actually finally get our hands on it. At least I hope. I really think this is a game that also really needs like a demo. I hope that they do that. I hope they put out like a demo that is like essentially like what we played here or like the first part of the game or something, because this really is a game that I feel like people need to actually control themselves to understand why it's so fun. Because it might not be exactly super apparent just from even watching some of these gameplay sections. But yeah, I just want to play more, man. I still say that this is probably the most engaging game from all of the 3 Capcom games that I played. But yeah, there you have it, guys. I hope that helps to convince you guys to check out this game when it comes around, because I think it's something really special here, you know? And I hope that this game actually ends up selling okay, because I think that developers should be willing to take like risks like this, you know? This game in a lot of ways feels like something an indie dev would come up with its like just kind of like wild gameplay idea that just ends up being something really fun. It's not something I feel like you see very often from like a huge developer like Capcom, because like an idea like that is like, oh, it's cool, but it's risky, right? Why do that when we can stick with the tried and true, this will always work thing? That's usually how companies think of it nowadays, and why indie devs generally get a lot more flexibility and freedom to do and come up with crazy stuff like this. So yeah, this is the one game that I'm actually gonna say, please, if there is, at the very least is a demo for this game, please give it a try when it comes around. I don't need to tell you that for fucking Onimusha or Resident Evil or whatever, right? But this one I think is gonna take a little bit of convincing for folks to potentially put their money where their mouth is, so. But anyway, guys, hope you guys enjoyed this little preview of Pragmata. If you did, please do leave a like and a favorite. It really does help me out. And hey, consider subscribing and becoming a picky penguin aboard the SLP, where the days are always sunny and the vids are always funny. I am absolutely going to be doing probably a stream of this game when it comes out, because I'm just having too much fun every time I play this, man. And everyone that I've talked to that has played this feels pretty much the same way. That's like, it is shockingly enjoyable. So yeah, don't write this one out, man. This is definitely the sort of black sheep, I feel like, game that Capcom is putting out there that could end up being a real winner. But anyway, guys, that's it for me. And as always, till next time, stay classy.